Closer.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Backtrack Cinema. In this video, we'll be doing a movie review of Silence of the Lambs. So pop some popcorn, get a drink, get comfy, and let's talk Silence of the Lambs.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Nothing is over! Silence of the Lambs was released in 1991, directed by Jonathan Demme, and starring Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, and Ted Levine. When a young FBI cadet must receive the help of an incarcerated and manipulative cannibal killer of Hannibal Lecter to help her catch another serial killer, a madman who skins his victims. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. This is where we talk movies of the past. And today, guys, we'll be doing a review of Silence of the Lambs. So let me know in the comments below what you think of this movie. Do you really like it? Don't you like it? Let's have a great conversation in the comments about Silence of the Lambs. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't seen Silence of the Lambs in years and years and years. I mean, it came out when I was just like 12, 13, and I watched it through my teenage years. But I have not revisited this film in a lot of years, and my God, does it still hold up? It is fantastic as ever. You know, great performances in this, a really great story. Characters you can really latch on to. Cinematography, the dark, brooding atmosphere in this thing is absolutely fantastic. The director here does a great job with his dark, brooding, consistent tone, and he plays in this sandbox of a psychological thriller. It's more like that. It's like, it's not a slasher, although I've heard the argument people say it is, but I look at this as a psychological dark thriller, and I love stuff like that. I love psychological thrillers. I think it's one of the greatest genres there is. There's so much ramped up tension, and it really takes its time. Like that scene where Jodie Foster is walking up to meet Hannibal Lecter the first time. This is what I remember of this movie. How dungeony it looks, and she's slowly walking, seeing all the madmen to her side, and then when she finally gets there he's just standing upright. He's like, "Good morning." Like, it's just like he's so creepy, assertive, and what Anthony Hopkins does with his eyes is just fantastic in that scene. You know, he's like, when he walks into the light, when he's kind of in darkness, he's like, "Closer." And then he walks in and he just uses everything with his eyes. A sign of a great actor is an actor who can use his eyes, and a sign of a great director is how consistent they make the tone. Sure, there's movies that can change the tone a bit, and there's directors who can do that, but when you got a horror film, you keep that tone consistent through the whole film. It's hard to do. It has to be hard to do because I don't see many people doing it. So this movie is fantastic for that. I also feel like this movie really popularized our interest in true crime, like true crime genre and all that kind of stuff, with documentaries coming out and everything like that about real life killers. Like, really popularized our interest in that. And it's fascinating. Let's face it, the darkness is fascinating, guys. The learning about serial killers and what goes on in their mind is just something we can't understand because we're, you know, our morality's in check, right? At least we hope. But yeah, you know, the darkness is fascinating. It's just, it fascinates us. It creeps us out. And I really feel like this film like popularized a lot of movies after it. There's great themes here of sexual equality and seeing things through a different perspective. The way Hannibal Lecter sees Clarice's perspective, the way Clarice learns from him and sees his perspective, even though he's a bad man, and the sexual equality in this movie. I didn't pick that up when I was a young teenager. I didn't really pick up on it, but we got Clarice Starling, a young FBI cadet. She's trying to make it into a field, and her world basically is dominated by men. But the director doesn't spoon feed you with this and hit you over the head with it. This is the way you do it. You show and don't tell. And there's a few scenes in here where they really show that. You see her struggle trying to solve this case with Hannibal Lecter, but he wants her to earn it. He wants her to figure this out on her own, right? And he keeps, you know, testing her and making her go through trials. And you see her fail a bit. Like there's a great little training exercise she's doing where it's like mimicking like a real takedown of a house, which she ends up doing later on in the movie, where she kicks down the door, but she doesn't check her back, what's behind her. Her commanding officer's like, "You're dead, Clarice." You see her in the elevator, and all these huge men are standing behind her. This small, frail girl who's trying to make it as a top FBI agent, right? Who wants to graduate school and stuff like that. And they just show that. They show what kind of world she's in, and where she's this world she is dominated by men. A same scene where she's got to address this whole sheriff's station, and she's got to show command and assertiveness, and they're all kind of looking at her almost like, we're going to listen to you, but she brings her own strength out in it, and they show that rather than, they don't beat you over the head with it, which is nice, because a lot of movies would do that now, and they don't do that here, and I really appreciate that, them writing a really strong female character in Clarice, because she is a strong character. All the dialogue between Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins, and Jodie Foster is just, this is the crutch of this film. This is what I love about this film. The dialogue is so smart. The way he psychoanalyzes her, she comes back at him with harsh remarks, and it like smacks his pride a bit. He's so fascinated by her too, I think. There's so many scenes through this movie that are just so interesting and fascinating and, just very dark. Now, I've touched on the performances already. Anthony Hopkins, fantastic in this. Just the way he embodies this character, and you just, we're terrified of this guy when he talks, and we just imagine if this guy ever gets out, what a terrifying world that would be. And when he does get out, it's such a fantastic, smart scene. The way it's written, the way he tricks everyone, wearing the guy's freaking face, and then the way he's beating that officer. You just see Anthony Hopkins' face. You don't actually see him killing everyone. You just see. I love that. Using a lot of suggestion and what we can conjure up in our mind is absolutely fantastic. And he's just full of blood after biting off the guy's face or something like that. Oh, it's fantastic, right? And Jodie Foster, you see her trembling when she talks to him. Like, she's absolutely terrified, but she sticks to her guns. And it just, the characterization of this and just the dialogue is so fascinating, so great, and just unbelievable. Some of the greatest dialogue in a film. Jonathan Demme makes us use our imagination more, like I've already hinted on. He makes us, he doesn't show you, there's not a lot of blood and guts in this movie. It's very much suggestion and what we can conjure up, like I've touched on before. And when you do see a bit of gore, when you see that, it's so much more earned. You're like, oh my God, because he hasn't shown you. It's when you see it through a movie, when you see too much of it, we get adapted to it. We get desensitized, and this movie just does this so well. And the cinematography too. There's some really good shot choices in here when they're having conversations. When you see a lot of movies and conversations, there's an over the shoulder look. The camera's over the shoulder. This one, they got it like a very straight on, as if you're, I'm looking at you in front of the camera right now. It's very straight on to really pick up all the emotions on the actors' faces. And you're really dialed in. You're dialed into the performance. I feel like that's what it really feels like to me. And I love the shot choices and a lot of the conversations. They're framed right in the middle of the camera, and it just goes back and forth. It cuts back and forth to really pick up those emotions. And the music, it's just got this, it's dark and brooding. The music, really reminiscent of the Shining music to me in a lot of ways, but it's fantastic. Adds to that atmosphere, adds to the tension. Just a very, very high tense movie this is. And the way, Jodie Foster catches Buffalo Bill at the end, I love the way this scene plays out where, she's in the dark, but he's got the night vision goggles on. But you watch Jodie Foster here, how she's really like in the dark. She can't see where she is. So, she's just blind. She hears him breathing behind her, and that's how she gets him and shoots him and stuff like that. I really like the ending to this. I like the way it played out and everything, and the phone call from Anthony Hopkins at the end. God, that's a scary thought. A man like that is out there after he was incarcerated for years, It's just a great film, man. If you have not seen Silence of the Lambs, do yourself a favor. Go out and watch it, man. It's just a top tier horror movie, man. I'm going to give Silence of the Lambs a solid A. But what about you guys? What do you think of Silence of the Lambs? Let me know in the comments below. We'll have a great discussion about Silence of the Lambs. Check out my other related content. Go down the rabbit hole. Check out the channel. I really appreciate you guys sitting through the video. I appreciate your support to the channel and all that. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I will see you on the next video, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.